Hey, welcome back, friends. Today we're diving into something that quietly controls most of our lives without us even realizing it. Subconscious programming. The beliefs you picked up as a child. The stories you tell yourself that were never actually yours, and more importantly, how to break free from it for good. So let me start with the story. A few years back, I saw this photo that kind of hit me in the gut. It was a picture of a big, powerful horse tied to a flimsy plastic chair. You know, the kind you find in someone's patio. Now, logically, we know that horse could crush that chair without even trying, but it stood there completely still, not even testing it, and that's when it hit me. That horse wasn't being held by the chair, it was being held by its belief. That belief probably came from its past. Maybe as a young horse, it was tied to something stronger, something it really couldn't break free from. So now, it doesn't even try. Sound familiar? You're not stuck, you're trained. It reminded me of a conversation I had with a client. She was in her 30s, incredibly smart, kind, and capable, but she felt stuck. She kept saying, "I'm not cut out for more. This is probably just what life is for me." When I asked where that belief came from, she shrugged. Then after a moment, she remembered her father saying, "People like us don't get ahead. Just be grateful you have a job." She was 5 when she first heard that, and she had been living in that mental box ever since. Now there's an old story about baby elephants that really brings this home. When they're young, they're tied to a tree with a small rope. They try to break free, but they can't, and eventually they give up. But here's the wild part. When they grow up, they're massive. They could rip that rope out of the ground like it was nothing, but they never try. Why? Because the rope isn't holding them. The belief is. And honestly, most of us are like that. We're living out our lives tied to beliefs we never chose. Someone handed them to us when we were too young to question them, and now they run the show. Ask yourself this. When did you decide what kind of person you are? Was there a moment when you gave up trying to be great at something because someone laughed at you or told you you're just not that kind of person? Maybe it was a teacher saying you're not creative. Maybe it was a parent saying that's not a real career. Or maybe it was nothing dramatic at all, just a quiet series of moments where the message was stay small, stay safe. Quick flashback to my old job. I worked in a pet store for a while and I was the fish guy. We had hundreds of tiny goldfish in small tanks. They never got bigger than a couple inches. Super normal, right? But one day I looked it up. You know how big goldfish can really get in the wild? 14 inches. 14! So what's the difference? Same fish, same DNA. The only difference is the tank. And we're no different. If your environment, your mental environment, your beliefs, your people is small, you stay small. Not because that's who you are, but because that's what the tank is telling you you're allowed to be. Most of us are walking around like that goldfish in a tank, like a genie stuck in a bottle. Not because someone locked us there, but because at some point we stopped trying to get out. We accepted the box. We made it feel like home. But here's the truth. You built that box based on borrowed beliefs. And if you built it, you can tear it down. Now, I once talked with someone who hated math. She said, "I've always been bad at it." But when we dug deeper, it turns out her second grade teacher told her she just wasn't a math person. That was it. One sentence. And she carried that belief for 25 years. We do this in all areas. Our intelligence, our looks, our worth, our ability to succeed. We build entire identities around comments people made in passing. Without realizing it, we start living according to someone else's definition of who we are. I've worked with people who were passionate about art, dance, or music as kids, but were told it wasn't practical. So they gave up. Decades later, they wonder why they feel numb or unfulfilled. I've heard people say they were told, "You're too quiet," or "You're too loud," and now they struggle to connect socially. Not because they're broken, but because that early label became their mental identity. It's like life hands us a script when we're young, and unless we question it, we keep reading the same lines forever. If you want to break free, here's the first step. You've got to notice the belief. You can't change what you're not aware of. Start listening to the voice in your head when you stop yourself from doing something. What's it saying? You're not smart enough? People will laugh? That's not for people like you. Where did that voice come from? Is it even yours? Once you notice it, challenge it. Ask, is this actually true? Is this belief based on reality or just a story I've repeated 1,000 times? There's a practice in therapy called cognitive restructuring. You basically ask, what's the evidence for this thought? What's the evidence against it? And when you really look, you'll see most of those beliefs fall apart. Every time you recognize a limiting belief, replace it with something that actually serves you. Instead of, "I'm not creative," try, "I'm learning how to express myself." Instead of, I'm bad with money, try, I'm improving my financial habits every day. It's not about blind positivity. It's about shifting your identity to match your truth, not your conditioning. You can grow and you can heal. You can break free. But only if you stop mistaking your conditioning for your identity. Because the greatest prison you'll ever live in is the one you don't know you're in. And the moment you start questioning it, that's when the walls start to crack. If this message spoke to you, please share it with someone who's been struggling with old beliefs or feeling stuck in their life. And if you want help breaking those patterns and rebuilding confidence from the inside out, check out my course, The Confidence Key. It's a self-paced journey to help you uncover who you really are, beyond the programming. You deserve to feel free in your own mind. You are not the past. You are not the box. Stay positive, friends.